Myers alongside Rodney Nelson. Let's get on to the analysis of tonight's races. We're back to 12 race cards at 6:05 Central. We'll have our picks for you here. Pass along the scratches. There are 4 scratches across the card tonight. First race, maiden claiming Texas breds. The high 5 carryover heading into the first is $6,702. And let's get the timer going so that we finish on time. And I really saw this one as kind of a 2-horse race here. And my 2 horses were the 5 and the 10. We'll see what yours are.
I've got the 5 on top. I did take a bit of a long shot for my second selection. That's the 7 and Johnny Hefe. I'm going to guess that's how it's going to be.
Hefe, boss.
Dash and Sexy, I mean, this is the one that I picked. Looks like the one to beat here. Getting some class relief from those last few races. Seems like every other race this horse has a pretty decent one, and this is the time for that one to show up. I really do think the class relief in for the $5,000 tag tonight is going to benefit Dash and Sexy, no doubt about it. I think she'll get it done. Gianni Hefe, I was talking about that, a little bit of a long shot I'm throwing in there as my second pick. This is a horse 10-1 on the morning line that Rick Lee put on there. This horse has been racing in some maiden claiming races at this $5,000 level. Has been finishing respectable in there. I mean, the last 3 races, 2/3 and a second. That most recent race, which was the 3rd, came right out here at Lone Star Park against State Breds, just like tonight. I think that, this horse can put something together and finish up there in the top 3. And then I took the 10, Big Shark, as my third choice, who's your second pick there. This one was in last time at the $10,000 level. It's taking a class drop here, too, to the $5,000 tag. I mean, just missed last time by 3/4 of a length. Maybe with some horses that are worth half that much, this Big Shark gets up there and can compete well here.
Yeah, the reason I thought it was kind of between the 5 and the 10 is simply the class drops for both within the maiden ranks. We'll see. I mean, Dash and Sexy faced Big Shark on August 27th at Retama. Messed around at the start and still outran Big Shark. That's why I lean toward Dash and Sexy. I think she gets a better distance today. She's got to avoid start trouble, but I think she's a justified favorite, even though she does tend to have start issues. And she's only had 2 races this year, and they were both halfway decent. I think that last maiden try for her was a much tougher field. Big Shark, logical second pick, did close a lot of ground last time. That's always a good sign. I like Gianni Hefe, too. I mean, I took him 3rd. Tends to get checks, tends to be right in and among them, and I have Roll One Doc as a 4th pick. The second race matches Arabians, and we have 2 scratches here out of race 2, both the 6 Vaz's Destiny and the 11 QMR Matina are both scratched. These are maidens going 7 furlongs.
Yeah, maiden Arabians here. I got the 3 and Nilla as my top choice. This horse, the last 2 races have both been in stakes company. One of them came right out here at Lone Star Park at the end of October. Ran second in that race by a length and a half. I think there's something to be said for being able to compete, in a decent-sized race with some of these other horses. I think that Nilla, this 4-year-old filly, I hope to see her cross the finish line first. I think she's got a good chance. Second choice, I'll go with the 10 horse that is Crown This. This horse was in a grade 3 last time. That was the Lone Star Texas Classic, Texas Lone Star Arabian Juvenile. I think that's all the words for that one right there. Kind of a long name there, but that was at the 6 furlong distance. I mean, the horse didn't do too hot in that one. Was 9th, was beaten by 21 lengths. Got bumped at the start, but let's take a look at the race before that, the one that came at the end of August at Delaware. There's always some good Arabian races at Delaware. This horse came close to breaking his maiden that day. Finished second by 2 1/4. I think that Crown This can get up and finish in the mix. And then I took the 8 Like Moulin Rouge as my third choice. One race for this horse. That was in the stakes race. That was out here at Lone Star Park on the 1st of November. Finished 4th in that one. Bumped hard at that break. I'm always looking for a horse to improve from start 1 to start 2. This one might be it. Like Moulin Rouge, my 3rd pick here in race number 2.
Yeah, I kind of think the same way about him. Lightly raced, has a chance to improve. I think the top 2 have done a little bit more on the track, but they're also starting to run into the time where you're thinking, okay, it might be graduation time for either Crown Thess or Nilla. But I lean toward Crown Thess just because I think that Texas Arabian Juvenile even though he was well beaten, was a much better field than that maiden stakes race, that Arabian Wathpa Stakes that Nilla ran in last time. Even though that was a really good race, it looks good on paper, and it looked good to the eye too, but I just don't know if Nilla's been facing the caliber of maidens that Crown Thess has. In fact, Crown Thess faced First Class last time, who's 3 for 5 lifetime. So I lean toward the 10. Don't love the post position, but I wound up going 10, 3, 8, 12 in that one. On to race 3. Now, we've got some trials here. We've got some thoroughbreds mixed in against quarter horses here over these next 3 races. And they are trials for the Battle of the Breeds. You can have any kind of breed in here. Theoretically, even I think Paints and Apps, quarter horses and thoroughbreds going 870. And because that short run to the turn, they're taking the 8 fastest individual times out of these trials.
Yeah, I'm on the number 6 right here, Beta Capo Song. This horse has a large string of second-place finishes in a row. I mean, this is a horse that was running up in Nebraska at Fauner Park earlier this year when most of the racetracks were shut down. This horse has had some pretty respectable finishes up there in Nebraska. Since then, got a couple starts at Louisiana Downs, a second and a fourth, and then one at the Gillespie County Fairgrounds at the 4-furlong distance, just missing by 3 lengths. I think that Beta Capo Song might be one to watch here. Second choice, I'm going to go with the 3 and Lotta Twister. This is a horse that we've seen out here 3 times so far for this meet. 2 seconds and a third in those 3 starts, so hitting the board 100% of the time out here at Lone Star Park. Has had some experience at this 870-yard distance. Those were the last 2 races, which I mentioned came right out here at Lone Star. A couple seconds in both of those. So 2 seconds and 2 starts at this 870. I'm going to go ahead and give a check mark to Lotta Twister as my second choice. And then I'll go with the number 5 and Mighty Vinny as my third selection here. This is another horse that's run this 870 a lot. I mean, 10 times this horse has run, has 3 victories out of those 10 starts. And look how this horse has done at Lone Star Park as well. A 40% winner out here on our track. I think that Mighty Vinny, you're going to get a decent price on this horse right here. Might be one to watch. I mean, make you smile when you're catching those trifecta tickets after race 3.
You know, on paper, it certainly looks like the 6 and the 3 look to me like they stick out. It's not to say it's going to turn out that way, but behind them, I think it is pretty wide open. You got a Mighty Vinny, you got a Touch and Go. You always have to watch the rail horse in these types of races. But, I went with thoroughbreds in all 3 of these races. I have very little experience seeing thoroughbreds face quarter horses. Back in the mid-'90s, we had a match race, I believe, at Remington between Darryl, who was a really fast Oklahoma-bred thoroughbred, and a quarter horse. I don't even remember how that turned out, but nonetheless, I don't know whether the more raw speed of quarters is going to have significance over the better distance ability of thoroughbreds or not, but I'm with Beta Capo Song as well. Seems to have a fondness for this track, has run some decent thoroughbred races here. I'm going to lean with him over Lotta Twister, who I think will be flying early and is probably going to have the early lead, but Lotta Twister, he's run these 2 seconds. He's just got to show me that he's going to finish strongly, and I think these thoroughbreds in here are going to finish better, so I took Touch and Go, who comes off a pretty extended layoff, as a third pick. On to the 4th. Second of our trials here, field of 7 in this one, and there's a pretty stick-out thoroughbred favorite in this one.
Yeah, that's the number 4, Expect Royal. We're both on this horse. 1-1 Rick Lee put the morning line on this horse. Expecting a lot of money to come in on this one. The last 5 races, this horse has not finished out of the money, has 2 wins in those races. Only 2 starts so far in 2020, but both of those were pretty good. Both of them coming at the Gillespie County Fairgrounds. I mean, won the race at 4 furlongs by 3. Won the race at this 870-yard distance by a length. Over a ran second in that one. I think Expect Royal in this field right here looks like the one to beat. My second selection, I went with the number 2 in Rosalind. This is a horse that's put together back-to-back wins. If you look at this horse's performance back in August, won a race at Louisiana Downs by 6 1/4. Most recent one won it by 3/4, but hey, back-to-back wins. This horse is moving in the right direction on the right track. We'll see how the debut at Lone Star Park does for the 2 horse. And then my third selection, I'm going with the number 1 horse. That is Bustum Bach. This is a horse that's had 9 races at this 870-yard distance. Does have a win and a third to show for it. The most recent race, which came out here at Lone Star Park, was that third that Bustum Bach did run out here. Was beaten in that one by almost 8 lengths. but was wide most of the way around the racetrack. And you got to imagine coming out of the one hole, this horse is going to be hugging that rail and saving some distance. I think that post position is an advantageous draw for Buston Bach, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this horse hit the board.
I agree. I really don't have anything to add. We have the same picks in the same order here. I'm throwing in as a fourth pick, No Habits here. Loves 870. His trainer, Peyton Young, wins a bunch of these races. So I'd throw him in as a fourth pick, but I don't really like how he's drawn. I think the horses drawn inside have a big advantage in this particular case. The thing about Expect Royal, he hasn't raced since July. He raced twice this year at Gillespie. You do see some lines from here at Lone Star back in 2018. He was bred by Keith Asmussen, so he's got that Asmussen family background in him. I don't know if any of that will help him today, but I think he's got enough speed to stay close with these quarter horses, and so I'm going to give him the nod. Okay. On to our third and final Battle of the Breeds claiming trial, and in this one, a field of 7. And, hey, we're on the same horse. Well, wait a minute. Have we switched over? We haven't switched over. Who do you have in this?
I've got the 5, Jack Kettle.
Okay, well, I took Jack Kettle last time, and he really burned me, so he is not on my selections whatsoever. But maybe I've jumped off the bandwagon too soon. I've always liked him, but I couldn't take him back.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens, right? One burns you, and you just can't get back on the horse. I think Jack Kettle might be in a good spot here. I mean, the horse has been running fairly well. I mean, in 2020, this horse does have a win this year that came at this distance down at Gillespie County Fairgrounds. I mean, this horse has run 870 yards 31 times in his career and has won 10 of them. Yeah. So it's won a third of the starts at this distance, and that's a pretty good sample size right there. So, I mean, this horse is definitely built for this 870 yards. Take a look. In 2019, this horse ran in some small stakes races and performed well in them. Bobby Lee Dow, the jockey that's named on this one, he's got 4 wins so far this meet. I want to say at least 2 of them have come at this 870 yards around the hook. So high percentage, I would say, for Bobby Lee at this 870 yards. I'm going to give the check mark to Jack Kettle. Second choice, I went with a 3 and By the Wire. Last 2 races were stakes races for this horse. One at Gillespie, one at Retama Park. Ran 4th in both of them. Take a look. The horse was in at the $10,000 non-winners at 2 level before getting into those stakes races. Won that race. So, I think this horse, there's something to be said for those close finishes, winning races. Now, this horse has never run around the hook at this 870, so we're going to see how By the Wire does. Third selection, I'll go with the number 4 horse, Aces over 5. I think this is a pretty good one to watch. I mean, this horse does have a win this calendar year. Came at this distance back at Retama Park in the middle of July. Has won 5 out of 16 at the distance. Has a win out here at Lone Star on our surface. I think this horse is one to watch.
Okay. I'm getting a message here that the 3 is out. It looks like in here. By the Wire apparently has been scratched because we've got a note here that says race 5, scratch the 3, and scratch the 7, a lot of smoking. So that takes that down to a 5-horse field.
All right, so some new scratches coming in.
Hot off the presses.
Brought to you first here.
My timer just went off. I'm going to take a little shot here and go with the 6 Free Music. Mark Hibden, who owns and trains thoroughbreds here, obviously unafraid to spot this horse against quarter horses. He did beat a quarter horse field back in July at Gillespie, and then in the next race apparently didn't start at all because he was 14 lengths behind at the first point of call, which has got to be hard to do at Gillespie going 870. You got to get completely left, I would think, for that. So I'm going to give Free Music a shot. If he gets a better start, he's usually a speedy sort. He's another one of those that spent the winter at Fonner. I'm going to give him a shot over Swanky, who we've seen a whole lot on this racetrack over the years. I think especially on the turf. I'm going to give her a look for second, and I know the secret third. Now, on to the 6th. We've got a video here, and it involves Dashing Pink. So let's slide over, and let's watch number 5, Dashing Pink. Goofs around here at the start, doesn't get out very well, and then gets bumped. Now watch this horse finish. Watch this 5-horse finish full of run in the green silks. This was October 3rd here against Maidens. This horse will wind up running second, beaten a half length in this one, but really splits horses late and closes ground well, in my view. And because of that, and I made a note at the time that I thought she finished very, very well, finished full of run. It's one of my, perhaps the number one indicator for picking a horse back is one that finishes well. She gets to go a little farther today, so I'm strongly behind Dashing Pink here over Favorito, who's run a pretty nice third last time out earlier in this meet and certainly has a lot of credentials, and Lethal Looks, who last time out I really kept an eye on him. He was 18-1, broke well, faded a bit. But he could run well also, but Dashing Pink to me is the choice.
Right, we're on the same three horses in the same order right here. Dashing Pink, I think, if you take a look at the 4 starts for this horse, 2 of them were seconds. That was the debut in the most recent race. Take out those 2 starts in the middle. The horse had trouble in both of those races. And then you're left with what? Two starts and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that Dashing Pink, this horse is going to get up and break her maiden tonight. Favorito, second choice right here, a solid third last time here at Lone Star Park. And then Lethal Looks, the 4, another third last time, just missing by 3/4 of a length. Put in a good one in that one. Was full of run. Was up there right next to the leader most of the way down the racetrack. 350 yards. I mean, that's how this horse made the debut. We'll see. Lethal Looks. I think this is a logical play. I mean, we don't talk about our picks beforehand. We're on the same top 3 in the same order. What else do we need to say?
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say there other than Lethal Looks. If this race were 300 or 330, he probably would have been a higher pick than third. I love the way he broke last time, but I'm just not sure that he's going to relish that extra 20 yards. We'll find out here a little bit later. On to the 7th. This race starts the 6-shooter, $2,099 in the carryover in the 6-shooter tonight. Good allowance here. He's Limitless. He's closing in on $500,000 in earnings. This is a really good field.
Yeah, I mean, you're on He's Limitless. I think Rick Lee's best bet of the night was He's Limitless. I think it's what I saw in the front of the program. Me, I'm going to try to beat that horse, and I'm going to do it with 6, Stone Cold Leader.
Oh, I love Stone Cold Leader.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about He's Limitless. You said approaching the $500,000. Yeah. Well, Stone Cold Leader's already got that $500,000. We've seen this horse run out here at Lone Star Park a few times, most recently in the Grade 1 Refrigerator Stakes. That was a few weeks ago. I mean, the horse beat half the field in that one. That was a $200,000 purse in that one. This one right here is a $28,000 purse. So, big difference right there in the purse money. This horse has a decent record out here on our track, has a win from 5 starts. But the most important thing that I'm looking at with Stone Cold Leader is at the distance. Has won 7 of 8 races here at this 400-yard distance. So has a lot of experience at it and has a lot of experience winning at this distance. Whereas you look at He's Limitless, my second choice, has run it 7 times for this 400 yards, only has 1 win to show for it. So that's what's making me take Stone Cold Leader above He's Limitless. My third choice, I'm going to go with the number 4 in Black Cazador. This is a horse we saw run out here just a few weeks ago. That was at this 400-yard distance, won that race by a length. I think Black Cazador can finish in the mix here. I think it's going to be tough. It's a good allowance race the way this one is drawn up. It's going to be a fun one to watch, but I've got it 6, 8, and 4.
Yeah, excellent race. When He's Limitless won his October 10th race here, that was a really good field, and I thought, before I had seen the nominees for the refrigerator, I thought, he runs in a lot of Grade 1s, and he ran just a length back in the winner, running 5th in last year's refrigerator. I thought he might come right back in the refrigerator. Well, the refrigerator came up super tough, so he didn't go in there, which I think was probably a wise move. But nonetheless, love He's Limitless. I do agree that the distance, seems to fit Stone Cold Leader, who really packs a late punch. And I've always liked Stone Cold Leader. He's an Indiana bred. He's won about half of his career starts. And he has beaten up at times on Indiana breds, but I don't care. He just beats who he's lined up against. And he's faced top-notch company on a number of occasions. To me, it wasn't an easy call to go with He's Limitless over Stone Cold Leader. I just think He's Limitless might be in front of him early. So I lean toward him. I think Stone Cold Leader might be the better value here, especially if he goes off near those 9-2 odds. So I went 8, 6, 2, 4. Salato's Man, kind of an interesting entity as well. That Jess You Are Blue race that he comes out of in late September is salty. The 2 mares that ran behind him both came back and won. Linder 16, a Grade 1. Cat Daddy's Little Girl out here a couple weeks ago. So he comes out of some really nice heats. Now, we got a video here in race number 8, which has a scratch. The 11, Skirts Just Flying, is scratched. So let's go ahead and watch the 8, Hot Flash Cartel. This horse is not my top pick in this race. Broke slow, stumbled. This 8 horse is going to be in trouble almost every step of this race. Hot Flash Cartel is going to get into even more trouble in the Pink Silks as they came down to the finish there. Was well beaten, had trouble every step. He was even money that day too, but that was a $5,000 non-winners of 2. This is a Texas bred non-winners of 2 for $5,000. Pretty similar level, wide open race. Gets to go a little farther. I still couldn't use him on top though.
Yeah, I didn't use the horse at all in my top selections. I went with the horse on the outside, El Cartel. This is a horse that I picked last time out. She let me down. She didn't have the best start out. I mean, she finished 5th in that race. Was only beaten by 3/4. But take a look before that. Broke her maiden 2 starts back. I mean, that was out here on our track. That was at this 350-yard distance. A couple seconds before that, just by a nose in both of those. 2020 has been a good year for this horse. I mean, finishing in the top 3 in 3 out of the 4 races, including that 1 win. I do like El Cartel here in this spot. Second choice, I'm going to go with the number 5, OSC Boys. I want to say this is another horse that's let me down once or maybe even twice
Let me
this
down
year.
big time last time, yeah.
This is one of those I'm rooting for. I'd like to see this horse get back up there and continue those nice finishes that he was putting together earlier in the year at Retama. He's dropping down to this $5,000 tag today. He's been running for more than that this whole year. So maybe this horse will get a little bit of class relief here and have a better finish. Third selection, I'm going to go with the horse on the rail, Be True Dash. A winner last time out by 3/4 of a length. Came out here at Lone Star Park. I love horses that can win on our surface. I like betting them back. We'll see if Be True Dash, 15-1, was the morning line on this horse, and see if we can't catch a little bit of a price here on the 1.
We do seem to have some horses that have either run really well or broken their maidens that have come back and run well this meet. OSC Boys last time I really liked, but it was a tough race. HB Birdman and Fayodale are both pretty nice, and then IB Hot and Famous 2 came back and won a really nice race on the 1st of November that featured El Cartel. There was no real issue for OSC Boys, nothing major at least, just it wasn't overly sharp, but really wasn't a bad race either. I'm going to take him back and hope for the best. I think this is a super wide open race. Hot Flash Cartel, who really laid an egg at even money last time. I got to think that I've got to hope he's going to get out better this time. I mean, his results lately haven't been very good, but I think he's facing a little bit easier bunch. And then El Cartel, you got to respect her. If the outside's playing well like it did last weekend, I mean, she obviously could be right there. And then I took the Eruption as a 4th choice after the 11 was out. On to the 9th. This will start the late pick 4 tonight with the 12 race card. Be sure to watch for the multi-race wager sequences because they shift around with the different race card lengths. $5,000 claimers here.
Yeah, I'm on to number 3. I put it on you. The last 2 races for this horse haven't been the greatest. An 8 and a 6 before that. Those are the only 2 races this horse has run this calendar year. But the reason I'm picking this one, I think it's going to be quite a bit of class relief coming down here for this $5,000 tag today, something this horse hasn't seen in a long time. One start over our track that came after a little bit of a break, so I'm always looking for that second start. We'll see. I mean, I think this horse kind of has a question mark above it. I think either I Put It On You is going to put it on them all, or just kind of walk out the gate, I guess. So it's hit or miss, and I think with odds at 8-1 for that morning line, this is one that I'm going to go ahead and take a chance on to go ahead and pick up the W. My second selection, I went with another one that's kind of a shot. That is the number 2 in Jess Moon Coming. This horse does have a win at this 250-yard distance, has a second as well. Neither one of those coming at Lone Star Park, but if you take a look at that last race, it was 330 yards. The horse was leading it all the way out until close to the finish line. Was practicing the gate that day, so was ready to shoot out of it. Finished 7th in that race. Was only a length behind, so they were all pretty much close up there. But you know what? We're dropping some yardage off tonight. I think that the shorter the races are, the better the races are going to be for Jess Moon Cumming. And then I took the 6 in Vital Cartel as my third selection. A solid third last time out, missing just by a neck. That came at 3:30, so I'm going to drop some yardage off for this one as well. We'll see if Vital Cartel can't get up there and hit the board.
Yeah, I think he probably will also. I mean, I've got him as a second pick here. And your Jess Moon Cumming, your filly there in the 2-hole shortens, gets a good distance. I really thought, considering that she was fractious at the gate last time, ran a pretty nice race against a conditioned $5,000 field. You know, I kind of went chalky here. I mean, I went with the 9 JF Cash Fantasy. Drops out of an open $10,000 claimer. That, to me, is a much tougher spot than here. Is generally very quick, and I think the shorten up to 250 is really going to help JF Cash Fantasy. So I'm going to give him the nod in what is admittedly a very wide open race. On to the 10th. We've got a scratch out of this one. Take out number 7, Tessio. This is a starter optional claimer at 250.
Yeah, I went with the horse on the outside, the 12. That last race was basically this race right here. So ran second in that one just by a nose. Put in a good one there. It's at this 250-yard distance, basically the same conditions. I think that the 12 gets it done here. Second choice is going to be your number 9 horse. That is a Pool Fool. Take a look. This horse has only finished off the board one time in the career. I mean, 8 starts. Has hit the board in 7 of those 8 starts. Including coming out here at Lone Star Park out of the 2 starts, has a second and a third. Good year for the horse so far. Running an allowance company. Now he's going to try the starter optional claiming. I think this horse fits well here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Pool Fool maybe even get up for the win, but I do have the horse picked second. Taking the 11 horse Stinging Eagle as my third selection. Couple consecutive third-place finishes, one of them coming just back toward the end of September. That was in that same race, that one Slick Carter. My top choice was in. Stinging Eagle finished right behind one Quick Carter, one Slick Carter. So I'm going to go ahead and take basically a replay of that one, but just throw the 9, a Pool Fool, right in between them.
This is another really wide open race. I mean, you got a horse on the inside in VFI Be a Man, who's Rick Lee's top pick, who you have to have a lot of respect for. I mean, Alonso Neri, a former trainer, got 2 wins in a row out of this horse back in this summer at Retama. And then he ran in that Jess You Are Blue, Cat Daddy's Little Girl, Linder 16 race in late September. Not sure where he's been since, but it hasn't been that long a layoff. But I used VFI Be a Man second. I went with a Pool Fool. I mean, I don't mind that this horse has been second 5 out of 8. I mean, in thoroughbreds, you wonder if a horse just doesn't have the will to win or whatever, tends to wait on horses. In this sport, they're just flying. I don't know if they know whether they're winning or not unless they're off by themselves in this sport. So I think a Pool Fool has run some really nice, potentially winning races, has consistently been facing, decent level non-winners of 2 types. I'm going to give him another shot. I'm going to take him over VFI Be a Man and 5 Bar Silver, the 4, who got claimed by Neri last time. And like a lot of top trainers, he does great when he sends them out for the first time when they come into his barn. So watch for 5 Bar Silver, shortening up from 550. And then one Slick Carter I've got 4th. I mean, he's gone from one extreme to the other. He was in the 1 hole. Now he's in the 11 hole. He didn't seem to mind the 1 hole last time, so he probably won't mind the outside tonight either. Let's take a look at race 11. Optional claimers here, non-winners of 3, or they can enter for $25,000. They're going $350.
I've got the 5 Crawfish Cartel as my number 1 choice here in race number 11. To me, this horse looks very solid here in this spot. I mean, the past few races that you can see have all been pretty good for the horse. Has a win in 2020, 2 seconds and 2/3 out of 5 starts, so 100% on the board. 2019 was all right for the horse, too, was able to pick up a win. And it seems as of late, anything that Toby Keaton sends out there, you definitely got to take a look at. He's had some horses that have been able to cross that finish line in front of all the other ones. So I do have Crawfish Cartel as my top choice. Second pick, I'm going with a little bit of a shot. That's the number 3 in Louis. Last time out was a 5th in that race. That was an allowance company. The 2 races before that, the horse won both of them by a head. I think this is a good spot for the horse. I mean, one of those victories that won 3 starts back did come at this distance. So I do like that. I wish I would have been able to see this horse run on our track one time, but not going to get that chance. I mean, back on the 21st October, Bullet workout that day. So I think there's a lot to like about this 20-1 long shot, Louis. I'll take the 10, Valiant Cash as my third selection. I mean, win in 2 seconds in the last 3 starts. That most recent one was a second right out here just by neck. Put in a good race that day. Going to add a couple more, 20 more yards on. So you can see that horse likes to close a little bit, seems to get closer, close that gap as the races get longer. So another 20 yards, maybe that horse turns that second by neck into a win by nose.
Yeah, I think he might. I mean, I took him on top. Admittedly, another sort of a close call in here. Valiant Cash had a couple of good races this summer at Retama on the comeback trail. Kept that form here in A Other Than Allowance Company in late October. Wheels right back now. I'm going to give him the nod here. Crawfish Cartel is the second pick here. I mean, I picked against this horse now 3 times. I think I've had him second in every race that he's run. He's going to beat me one of these days. But, you know, last time he had a little bit of an awkward start that didn't help him at all. I mean, he certainly factors right in here, but for some reason, I just look another way when he's in. I don't know why. So I went 10, 5, 11. Gravity is kind of interesting to me, the 11 horse, dropping out of non-winners of 3 allowance. I think that might be considered a drop. I mean, he's run 8th twice in a row, but I think he's been doing it against better horses than this. And those were his only 2 starts of the year. I think he could be sitting on a decent race at a good price. On to the 12th and final. I think we got a heavy favorite in here. At least Rick and I are both solidly behind Premier Corona. Maiden special weights going 300 yards.
I'm not. I'm going to try to beat Premier Corona here. You know me.
There's going to be some blinking lights on Premier Corona's odds. They used to be if they were 4 to 5 or something, that little dash would blink. Yeah.
Well, they might blink tonight. I mean, it's pretty windy out there, so
it might be.
Or it was earlier. Now, I'm always, I'll try to. I'm not afraid. I'll try to beat some chalk. I think Premier Corona looks like the one to beat here, but I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to go on the outside with the 12 horse KK Dashing Fury. I mean, 10-1 morning line on this horse. I mean, you're getting Luis Vivanco, top jock in the colony. Last 2 races for this horse, both pretty good. I mean, a second down at Retama Park at 330 yards by nose, a third last time out here at 330 yards by half a length. I think getting shorter, this is going to help this horse out. I mean, taking those 30 yards off, I think this horse gets up there for the win. I think it's going to be tough, but I'm a gambler, right? I'm gonna take some value here, and I think the value that you're going to see in race 12 is with the number 12 KK Dashing Fury. Second choice, I'm going to go Goldie. That's the number 6 horse. I mean, this horse was close up last time, finished just behind by half a length. This horse was in that same race as KK Dashing Fury, finished right behind KK Dashing Fury. So these horses were right there, but I'm taking the gelding over to Philly. And then for my third choice, I'll take that favorite, Premier Corona. I think this horse does finish in the top 3, just hopefully in that third spot, so these tickets will pay quite a bit more. I think there's a lot to like about this horse coming out of those 2 trial races, out of that last trial race at Ruidoso Downs for the All-American Derby. So I think that Premier Corona, ran decent in that race. We're going to see how the 300 yards do. I mean, I think that shortening up's not going to hurt this horse at all. So, we'll see. Francisco Calderon, I think he's on about 55% in the money horses so far. Wow. We're almost done with the meet, so that's a pretty good percentage. Yeah. I got to take those stats and go ahead and put Premier Corona in my top 3 here, too.
I took her on top. I mean, she's going to be a short price simply because her E-Speed figures have been very, very good. And you see some horses like Inaugurator and Oatman Creek Senator and Kiss My Lassie that she's faced in the past. Those latter 2 were last year, but she's run reasonably competitively against some really, really nice horses of her generation. The whole thing is, she has tried Maiden Company a couple of times, was fairly well bet both times and didn't come through, but we'll see how she takes to Lone Star. She did run quite well last year in a Texas Classic Futurity trial against Oatman Creek Senator, so she seems to like the track. She's been working at Remington, which is interesting, but did have a best of the morning work in mid-October. A lot of positive signs for her. They still have to run the race. She still has to execute. But I took her over Goldie, and I took Pretty Tejanita, the 5, as a third pick, only because I like that last work. It seems pretty fast. I don't know anything about Leonel Hernandez, the trainer. But I do have KK Dashing Fury 4th. I mean, if you like Goldie, who seems to be a much shorter price than KK Dashing Fury, then why wouldn't you like your pick? Because
you beat her last
your
time.
pick just beat her. Yeah, I mean, granted, it was a nose, but
still counts.
Yeah. So that's how I went 10, 6, 5, 12. All right. 12 coming up tonight and tomorrow. Rodney will have his previews during the course of the evening. We'll have the full scratches and changes. There are a few jockey changes tonight, so listen for them and watch for them on the screen as they go along throughout the course of the night. And good luck on your selections.